Hey church family, I know it's been a while. Welcome back to Izzy in Christ. I've been meaning to upload a video for like the past 6 months. I wanted to upload a testimony video, one about my DSPS, which is delayed sleep phase syndrome. I'd have to plan a future date for that. I will upload it. I just need to organize myself is all. Thank you guys so much for sticking by me throughout all this time, even though I've sort of been MIA. I have so many updates for you guys, so many things to share. So this video that I want to make, I sort of want to make it as an encouragement because it's been on my heart for a while. First off, I want to share from Matthew chapter 28, verse 20, the latter part of the verse that says, I am with you always. Some translations, it's interesting because the translation I found online said, I'm with you always. And the one in my Bible, my physical Bible, says always. So I don't know. Anyway, the context of this verse is, Jesus came back, he rose from the dead. And the apostles, he appeared to the apostles and everything. And, everyone's like super excited. Everyone's like, wow, oh my goodness. But he commanded them and he said, you know what? Still go out into the world and, doing everything that I commanded, teaching them everything I've shown you, and know that I'm with you always, whichever it is. He's basically, letting them know that I'm with you. I know that it can be scary sometimes to go and evangelize and talk to people and tell them about me and that I'm been raised from the dead, or even the lessons and morals that I've taught you. Excuse me, I need water. I don't know why my mouth is just so dry today. So anyway, so that's the context of that verse. But I want to let you know that he's not only saying that to, let you know that, oh, I'm with you while you're sharing the gospel. He's saying that also to let you know that he has not abandoned you. I wanted to share this verse as a bit of an encouragement to anyone who might be going through a very difficult time in your walk or just in general. Sometimes it feels like, we're alone in everything and, everybody has forgotten us or nobody cares or everybody's criticizing us and looking down on us and, making us feel like we're lesser in some way. But I want you to know that God doesn't see you that way. God isn't, criticizing you and putting you down. When God tells us we're doing something wrong, he finds a way to do it in love. And that's what's important, that people do it in love, not in a way that is showing contempt towards you and making you feel like you have no value. So I have a story to share. This was actually something that happened a long time ago. I think I mentioned to you guys a while ago, like in another video, that I was going through a really dark phase in my walk. I was just not in a healthy place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I went through a couple of those actually in the last, even before the whole, the whole sickness that happened a little while ago. I was going through some phases, and even amid that, actually, I was just not in a great headspace. I was going through so much. But one story that happened before that, like maybe a few years before that even, there was this friend that I used to have. We're not friends anymore, sadly, but maybe, and I know that the way I share the story about him, you're probably going to think he was a horrible person anyway. You shouldn't be friends with this person. And I know bad company corrupts good morals, etc. And okay, I'll get into that. But so what happened was, during that time when we were friends, I used to reach out to him when I was dealing with things, and I reached out to him that one time, and I guess because I was going through this really hard phase, I was I kind of backslid a little bit, and I was just, indulging in the old things that I didn't care for anymore. But part of it was I was angry with God. I was angry because, it wasn't so much that he wasn't giving me what I wanted. It was that I felt like he didn't care about my needs. And that's a much bigger deal than wants, right? you know, you think about the things that you want in terms of your goals and your dreams and the things you want to achieve in this life, you know. But I really felt like my basic survival was at stake, and just that God didn't care. Like, I was literally stuck in that mindset that it's like, you know, no matter what job I go and work at, like, I'm just not good enough. And, you know, and even when I'm working a job, like, the funds are just not enough to make ends meet. Things got so bad that I couldn't even afford, like, to buy like a little sack of tomatoes at this grocery store. Like, it just got so ridiculous. And so I was so upset about the whole thing. And so anyway, this friend, I guess to protect him, you know, I don't think I'll use a name. If I use a name, I'll use a pseudonym. I just can't think of anything right now. But anyway, so, you know, one day I invited him over because I thought, oh, maybe we can have a drink together, an alcoholic drink. And so, you know, he comes over, you know, I literally almost have like no money. Like, I have like juice in my fridge that, you know, for sure would have been expiring soon. And, you know, I didn't know what else to do with it. So I just figured, oh, I guess I can mix this with rum and, you know, maybe see, you know, if we can just enjoy a nice drink, and, you know, I'll feel better, he'll feel better, because I think he was going through things too. I don't fully remember because this was many years ago now. And yeah, you know, we had a drink together, but, you know, and the Bible warns about drunkenness. I don't think God is just trying to, you know, make you not have fun and enjoy yourself. But God knows when something is not good. Like, if we just look back at Lot's daughters, right? I mean, that's what it led to. Anyway, so I'm trying to be very discreet about this because I'm not proud of this. I know this was many years ago now, but I'm honestly not happy about these decisions that I was making. I was being rebellious because I was angry, and also I just felt like, you know, if God's going to ignore me, then I got to find a way to make myself feel better. That was sort of my mentality at the time. So that's what I did. And so anyway, he came over, we had those drinks, and then he started saying things that were a little bit inappropriate. And he even, you know, he even asked if he could, how do I word this so this does not sound weird to say. He basically offered to do something sexual with me. And I was in complete shock. I was so offended. I was so angry. And, you know, that conviction, it just welled up inside my heart. And I got so angry. And I actually freaked out at him. And I said, how dare you ask me that? I said, no, I am not your wife. You're not my husband. How dare you be so disrespectful to me? And, you know, even though I was in the midst of being rebellious, it was like the conviction just came up in my heart again. And it was God. It was God, you know. I really believe it was the Spirit in me that was telling me, no, this isn't right. This isn't you. This isn't what I called you for. This is not your purpose. He's not your husband. He should not be disrespecting you. But look, you see, this is what this alcohol did. You're trying, in an attempt to try to make yourself feel good. This is what happens when you use something else other than God and his Holy Spirit and you know, relying on Jesus. This is what happens when you substitute God for something worldly that isn't going to fulfill you, isn't going to fix what you're dealing with. Folks, I can't stress this enough. And look, I don't want you to feel that I'm condemning you in any way, because I know that sometimes the temptation is very strong. But trust me, these worldly things, alcohol, drugs, you know, partying, all these things, they're a substitute and a cheapened version of what God has to offer when you're in pain. No, instead, look for strong Christians. Look for God. I mean, I know that Christians are not always reliable, and I'll get into that later. But you know, because they're human beings, they're flawed. And some of them, they mean well. They will say things to make you feel better about what happened, or they'll try, and sometimes it has the opposite effect. And I know that happened with me, with, you know, the situation that happened afterwards. But anyway, so long story short, he left for the night, and I was just really shaken. I was upset, and like thankfully he didn't try to do anything, but that could have very well been. And I think that was God's protection, that didn't happen. But yeah, I was really just disturbed by that whole situation. And I'm thankful that God, even amid like me just being stuck in that frame of mind where I was just feeling so upset and just almost like I was trying to get back at God, if we can ever actually get back at God, because really God doesn't need us, we need him. And he wants to be there for us. That's the other thing. Like, we can be as rebellious as we want, but God is there waiting for you to come back to him. And he wants you to know that you're still his child, even though you're messing up, even though you're upset, you're depressed, whatever. God doesn't condemn you. He wants you to come back to him. If you know that you're a child of God, stop this. Just stop this lifestyle that is pulling you further away from him. Because honestly, the alternative, it's a cheapened version, and it's not going to fulfill you. You're going to continue hurting yourself, and it's going to add more and more and more hurt. And the scary part is that it's going to be pleasurable at first, and then it's going to hurt you later. So really, it's not worth it. There was a whole other situation that happened later on. I think I had mentioned in a different video that there was a guy that I was interested in. And anyway, long story short, that guy ended up hurting me. That guy ended up not really being interested in me, and he used me. And he was talking to another girl from the other side of the world. And yeah, but I did all kinds of things to try to get to this guy. And I just, I regret that so much. And I know that I was hurting God while I was doing this. I know it was really making him sad. He was definitely grieving when I was just, trying to find my own way to do things. And this is what happens when you do things in your own strength. And the devil had me so tricked into thinking that I was actually leaning on God to get me through things. But in reality, I was trying to do things on my own. And but I guess it was something that had to happen in order for me to know the difference of when it's God's hand versus when it's my own, or the enemy tricking me. And the devil's very cunning. He will use the things that you love. He will use the things that you like. And you'll tell yourself, oh, okay, well, it's not so bad. It's not a bad thing. So I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure, God doesn't mind because this isn't so bad or that isn't so bad. And we let the devil talk us into, believing that, oh, getting drunk is not a bad thing. Or just as an example, because that didn't necessarily happen at that point. But, but like all the signals were there. I guess I'll make a separate video about that because it's a very, very long story. But yeah, even amid my rebellion in that moment, because I guess one could look at it that way. I wasn't trying to be rebellious towards God at that point in time, but I was really more so going after this person that I was very limerent over. And I didn't realize at the time that that's what was going on. I just really believed I was in love with him and he was so special. And then I found out everything that he actually is. And it hurt so bad. I was devastated. I was horribly devastated when that happened. But I'll never forget though, I'll never forget the day that I came crying to God, and it's like he embraced me in that moment and he told me, you're my child. I'm here for you. Even though I was so angry at him and I just, didn't want to hear what he had to say. And, I was just so frustrated that, things weren't going my way. And, but he was there to tell me, you're my child. Izzy, I'm here. I haven't forgotten you. And, even though I was in so much pain, I knew God was there. I just knew. But all this to say that, people will say all kinds of things to try to make you feel better, and it just might not feel like enough. They try to be encouraging, but sometimes it just feels like they're judging you and telling you, oh, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing that. Just know that it's coming from a good place. They're not trying to tell you that you're lesser because you backslid, or because you just don't understand what God is doing and why God is doing this and why you're going through this phase, this difficult phase of why you can't understand why God is handling things in this way. You know, people said some things that made me feel like I wasn't saved, and it hurt a lot. But I'm just so thankful now that, you know, God, like, amid all of that, and over time, you know, he started, you know, really showing me that, no, they're wrong. You're still my child. They made a mistake. You know, they're just human beings. Ultimately, all they do is look at what's on the outside. But God sees your heart and knows if you truly care and love him. I will say this, though, that if you truly love him, look for him, though. Don't look for him on your own terms. Do it on his terms. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't feel like it, I'm telling you, just let God be the one that guides you to him. Don't be the one that tries to micromanage everything and you know, tell yourself, okay, well, I only feel peace when I listen to this Christian song over that Christian song. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. The point, and I realize this video is very long, the point I'm trying to make is be open to what God has in store for you. Don't try to do things on your own terms. Don't try to pray your own way and you know, because, oh, well, this is the easiest way for me. This is all I know how to say. But really, if you're praying according to your own will, your own desires, that's where you're going wrong. Pray according to his will, what he will have you do, as uncomfortable as it may be. And that's a scary prayer. I'll admit that. I've struggled with that. I was like, what do you mean according to his will? But what if his will isn't aligned with mine? And that's the problem, when you're making it about you and not about him. And I know that's easier said than done, but I'm telling you, doing things your own way leads to destruction anyway. We tell ourselves we know what we want, but in reality, we don't always know. Because once we have it, we realize, oh, well, this isn't that special. I want this and I want this. And if there's something about the human being, is we tend to want more and more and more. But anyway, in closing, I just want to say, trust God, even though people are telling you you're not doing a good job at trusting him, even though people are telling you you're not saved or you're not praying right or you're not reading the Bible enough, or just trust him. Let your faith be your faith with God. Bring yourself to a place where you're asking God to meet you where you are. And God can bring you to him. If you have a sincere heart where you want to be closer to him, let him be the one that brings him to you through your struggle in a way that, you know, nobody can judge and tell you that you're doing it wrong. I mean, there's a limit for certain things as I'm thinking of other things. But anyway, the point is, let your relationship be personal with God and allow him to change you, transform you, and make you into the person he wants you to be. Anyway, those are my only words of encouragement that I wanted to share with you today. I pray you all have a wonderful day. It was nice talking with you and sharing this with you. Thank you for allowing me to be so open. I will be making future videos. I'm trying to get on that. I've been terrible with keeping up with that because I'm just all over the place. Pray for me. I will be back. Blessings to you always, and talk to you soon. Bye.